might have to build a second one. But as we speak today,
it's guaranteed to build 2.
That's exactly right. Now, and where I come from, 1 is cheaper than 2. I don't care.
I've heard that argument made.
I don't
know
care.
That's a legitimate argument.
Well, did you drive 2 cars over here today?
No, drove 1.
Why? 2 ought to be cheaper than 1.
Right. Well, I didn't need 2 to get the job done.
So that would be the same with over there.
Yeah.
We don't need 2 to get the job done. But I would hope that people soon now would understand that, and we get the show on the road. I certainly want the best, the cheapest, the safest for all concerned. That's what I'm after. But I want something built that's went on, drug on now for years and years. It's time something be done.
Right. And that's what the people who have filed this secondary complaint are saying. Let's get on with it.
Well, that's true too.
Well, now what is this I'm hearing about? $435,000 an acre. Where's that land at?
That is not the proper figure.
Oh, okay.
That property is Mr. Harvey Gelford's there behind the inn.
Oh, okay.
We kind of have proposed to buy 2 acres off of Mr. Gelford, adjoining the plant that's sitting there now.
Right. So just be an expansion of it.
Yes. And his prices on that, I believe total price was $560 some for 2 acres.
Okay, so it'd be $250,000 an acre.
Yeah, a little more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now, would you be able to put anything behind the motel? It looks kind of swampy a little bit.
No, it's been tested.
Okay, so it will.
Everything says go.
Are there any caves under it?
Not to our knowledge.
Okay.
No. It is a place that it could be done, but in my opinion, it is not a good place. And further, my opinion is we should not build 2 plants, only 1.
Right. But you're not saying, from what I'm getting from you, you're not saying exactly not build the 2 plants. You're just saying build it in phases. Start with what you can work with right now. Then go to a second plant if you need it, and get a bonus out of it.
Maybe if ever we need it. Maybe we'll never ever need it.
Right.
But if we do, maybe it'll be 25 years down the road.
Yeah.
Then at that time you build a second plant. At that time we will know if we need it or not. No, indeed, maybe.
Give it a little time.
Never ever be another plant built.
Well, now Russell is concerned with the 7A site because it's not proposed to have a very large capacity, right? The 7A?
Could be either way.
Okay.
It could be a large plant or it could be a smaller plant. Site 7A also has a bridge, and if you went across there, you've noticed, well, that bridge is believed to be not able to handle the loads that's going to go across it. So therefore, we would have to enforce it some way.
Yeah.
And that's extra dollars there. So, 7A,
well, that's a public road, right?
Pardon?
That's a public road, right?
I don't believe.
Oh, okay.
It's the road that goes up to the golf course.
Yeah.
And it goes back up on the mountain to some families. Several families live up in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, 7A then, how does that look to you? That is just going to cost more, right?
Cost more, you know, especially if there's a big sandstone, massive sandstone underneath it. It sets on an angle, and you can't build on an angle. So therefore, we're going to have to do quite a lot of excavation. In my opinion, do some dynamiting. So we've got 3 things. It's going to take a lot of excavation. Got a cave in under it, in my opinion, and we're going to have to enforce the bridge. So that's money spent that we necessarily wouldn't have to spend at Site 712. That will take some excavation up at Site 712. The people at Snowshoe, many of them are afraid that the pipeline that comes down the mountain from the 3 million gallon tank to the bottom,
right,
to the sewage plant, they're afraid that it will explode or something and cause a great spill. I cannot understand that for the life of me, and And some of the engineers, like the head engineer for DEP, said it was safe as could be. You know, it's kind of like you lay a line from up on the mountain, down the mountain. You don't have a valve or no way to shut it off at the bottom. So you lay a 10-inch line and you feed it with a 6-inch line. That's all the sewage you can get. So as it goes down the mountain, it isn't going to pick up zero pressure. And I've talked to 8 different engineering firms, and they all said it would have zero pressure. However, Mr. Rigby seems to, well, he said, I don't know whether he thinks that way or not, but that erosion would occur. After you buried the line, you know, surface water would run down through and maybe wash out underneath the pipe or something like that. Well, that is a possibility, but I got an answer for that. You lay the 10-inch line down the hill, if that's the size that's needed, and I'm not an engineer enough to know what size, but you lay a line underneath that thing about every 300 feet. You put a 2 or 3-inch line in there underneath the 10-inch, bring it out on a gravity grade, take it out to the side, and let it discharge. Maybe that pipe would be 40 feet long.
And that would just be an emergency basis.
Yes.
That'd just be like a truck pull-off on an interstate, on a trip to Beckley, you know.
Yes.
And of course, it would be cleaned up.
If indeed anything happened, if you had a sewage, some leakage, or if you had erosion, you could go to the end of that pipe and see what you had.
And you could tell if it had leaked.
That's exactly. Another thing you can do is put flow meters on it. You put a flow meter on it at the bottom and you put a flow meter at the top. Let's say that you've got 10,000 gallons running into that pipe.
At the top?
Yes, from the big 3 million gallon tank.
You need 10,000 coming out.
That's exactly. If you don't have, you know you're leaking something somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, through my experience, the way that you fix this, you put a flapper valve down at the bottom. It normally wants to stay shut.
Has to be forced open.
Yes, but when the water hits it, it opens it up. Whenever you open the electric valve at the top of the mountain, and here comes the water down the mountain. Now, we have to time it to see how long that takes, but there's a thing called an agastat. You can set the time on it.
Yeah.
It's closed until it opens. So what happens if the sewage doesn't reach the bottom in, let's say, 2.5 minutes, it will turn the valve back off up at the top.
Oh.
I mean, we had those all over the place. And they work fine. So it's almost foolproof to me. However, Mr. Forrest, one of the engineers, he was an engineer.
Is that the guy that wrote that letter in the paper?
I don't know.
This week there's a letter in the paper about
I haven't got my paper yet.
Oh, okay.
Anyhow.
Well, he was saying that Russell Holt had been dragged out of that meeting. I can tell you Russell Holt wasn't dragged out. He walked out. He was led, you know,
Mr. Walton.
Mr. Walton was there to help him, but he was as calm and collected as could be.
Did you hear what Mr. Walton told him after starting out the door?
What's that? That
this thing was all planned before you got here.
Well, they couldn't have planned it, because if they'd have done that, if Marty and David had done that, that'd been a violation of the Open Meetings Act.
Well,
and that would be illegal.
And so it be. So it